Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions Tuesday afternoon. Tiffany Hepburn is in the house. How you doing, Tiff?
Hi, I'm doing great, Danny. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Do you want to give the audience a little bit of background on yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Tiffany. I am an Amazon seller. I started in 2019, and I'm also the CEO and founder of Eat Sleep Amazon. So what we do is we help the Amazon selling community specifically with account health issues. So anything that is like a blocked ASIN or an IP claim, any kind of thing that you would get in your account health section or an email from Amazon that could potentially block your sales of your products or even suspend your account.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very important. And we said, of course, I said to you, look, it's not the most sexy subject in the world.
No,
So
it's
let's
not
put some sizzle
sexy.
on this. Right. Let's put some sizzle on this. Right. Performance notifications, pretty much standard. Let's quickly run through that. We'll go through more of the basic stuff and then more into the advanced. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, account health is not sexy. It's something I think a lot of sellers will overlook just because it's like account health. Like, what is that? Like I just want to focus on my sales. I want to see those numbers. But account health's really important because you have to have good metrics and you want to have what we call like a clean account. If you are looking to exit, that's really important. Or if you're simply looking to hold on to your account, that's important because it helps you be able to have the buy box and be able to just keep those listings active. So performance notifications is going to be a non-sexy section of Amazon Seller Central.
Well,
And
there isn't. Like, let's be honest. If I've always said, Seller Central, it's got an interface only a mother could love. Do you know what I mean? It's so broken and fucked up in there. It's unbelievable. Like, you think all that
yeah,
money Jeff's got, or he's now parted ways, if you like, or he's leaving as CEO. But it's a piece of shit, isn't it? In terms of an interface, we have to deal with. I mean, the account health doesn't look as bad, but when you start getting into inventory and stuff, it's like, oh,
yeah,
someone needs to go in there and give it a good little design.
yeah,
Anyway,
no,
I'm breaking up the
totally.
flow.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, they should add some bright colors and maybe some like emojis in there.
Yeah, maybe
I
so. Yeah.
think that would really liven it up.
Well, it'll make our day, wouldn't it? Because the miserable essence of having to contact seller support team and stuff. So a little light in the day. I mean, notifications, the one that we don't want to see is the yellow with your account is being suspended. But yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you don't want to see that. So that's why we're here today to try to prevent that. So performance notifications has some notes here, but it's not actually within the account health section. It's going to be a separate section. Sometimes with performance notifications, you will get an email giving you the exact information that's in that section. Sometimes you don't. So what I recommend is you go and you check your performance notifications at least once a week. I recommend doing it every day or every other day. And you can have like a VA do this for you, or you can, hire an agency like mine to kind of keep you, in check. But what this section is going to do, so the way that you find it is within the upper bar of Seller Central, you see all of these different names. And so you're going to see performance. And then when you click on that, it's going to drop down a menu and you're going to go to performance notifications.
Cool.
And so what that's going to do is sometimes things will not show up in your account health section right away. They may not show up at all.
Sometimes you get a lag, 72-hour lag or so. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a lag for sure. So you want to check this because sometimes it will tell you. I had one recently on my account where Amazon was wanting me to send in all of the invoices for an ASIN because they were claiming it was counterfeit, and it wasn't the brand or customer. It was just Amazon like doing a check. So you want to check that because if you don't, you can, potentially like your account could get suspended from something that was in a performance notifications, or like with what happened with me, it'll say like, if you don't show us proof of purchase invoices, we're going to destroy your inventory. So then all that money is wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. I love the way they use those trigger words, destroy as well. Policy compliance. Let's have a little run through there. This is your bread and butter in terms of your day-to-day, isn't it?
Yeah, so policy compliance, we deal with almost every issue, and this would be when you go to account health, which it'll say the account health section on the left. And when you're looking at the screen in Seller Central, it's like that middle section. So it's that non-sexy section where hopefully it's completely everything is 000. But if you do have complaints, it'll tell you the type of complaint. and then it'll tell you the number that you have. And so you would click on that particular section. Like, let's say, for example, product authenticity customer complaints is one of the little rows there. You would click on that and it would kind of tell you, like, okay, this is how many you have, and then these are the ASINs, and these are like the date of the claim, all of those kinds of things. Yeah.
Cool. So let's run through the array of what we got. So we've got received intellectual property complaints. Let's go through this and then we'll go through a few of these. Yeah.
Yeah. So received intellectual property claims or complaints, these are going to be actual claims against you from a brand. So typically the brand is brand registered. They are what we call the RO, or the rights owner, and they're going to be filing a claim against you. Now, sometimes sellers come to me and say, oh, I have a counterfeit claim, and it's not. It's a claim from a rights owner, and the rights owner will sometimes say that you're violating their trademark, you're violating their patent, or you're violating their copyright. And sometimes it is tied to they're claiming your product is counterfeit, but at the end of the day, it's boiling down to an actual legal intellectual property issue.
Yeah, indeed. Authenticity, product authenticity, customer complaints.
Yeah, so this is when a customer has actually bought your product and they have claimed to Amazon that it's counterfeit. And the reason that they do this doesn't actually mean that your product is counterfeit. Number one, I don't recommend commingling your products. A lot of sellers will commingle, and if you're doing private label, you may not have the option to commingle, but if you're doing another business model where you're selling on the same listing as other sellers, then that's really problematic, because if another seller's inventory is counterfeit and it's mixed in with yours, then if you do get this kind of claim, it could actually be valid. Yeah, so I recommend using FNS SKUs, and I recommend not commingling. But so the customer complaint of counterfeit is essentially where sometimes customers will just do this because they want the product for free, or they don't want to pay for return shipping. So when they go to do a return, usually Amazon will ask you the reason why, and some customers will just do this. Yeah.
Cool. Product condition, customer complaint. They love their wordy, didn't they? Product condition, customer complaints. Yeah, it's pretty much straightforward, but go on. Yeah.
They like their alliteration. So product condition, customer complaints, say that 5 times fast. That is when that is when a customer is going to claim that your product is not the condition that they bought it in. So a lot of sellers will sell their products in the new condition, and a customer may say, hey, it's not new, it's used, or hey, it's supposed to be collectible. Hi, Christina Lynn, thank you. So they'll say, hey, I bought it like saying you're doing collectible items, toys. And hello, Owen. So, and then the customer will buy it and say, this is not collectible. So it's an issue where the customer is claiming that the condition of the product is actually not what they were supposed to buy it as. So it's whatever you listed it as. One thing I would say here is just really pay attention. Amazon has a whole section where they'll tell you what their guidelines are for the condition of products. So if you're selling an item as new, you need to really make sure that it meets that criteria. If you are selling your own branded products, more than likely your products do meet that criteria. But if you're selling other brands' products, particularly I see this with those that are selling toys and games, you need to make sure that it meets the criteria.
Cool. Let's test knowledge on this one then. Restricted product policy violations.
Yeah, so restricted product policy violations, I call those RPPVs. And so what those are going to be is basically that Amazon has flagged these products as being restricted. And that can be a variety of different things. Like, for instance, if you're trying to sell a medical device or a device that requires a prescription, and you're not a licensed medical provider and you're not registered as such with Amazon, that could be an issue. It could be an issue where, you know, your products, like with supplements right now, you have to have a letter of guarantee. That could be a potential issue. You could be selling toys and they need a CPC, or they need CPSC, laboratory testing, things like that. Yeah.
Cool. What's the is that birdies in the background?
Well, I have my windows open, so you hear some birds.
Yeah, cool.
I don't have pet birds.
You're not keeping them there in a cage. Okay. Food and product safety issues.
Yeah, so food and product safety issues is a new section that rolled out last year in the account health section. And what that is going to be is if you're selling something that may be restricted on Amazon as far as it's just not registered with Amazon properly, or it's expired, things like that. It doesn't have the proper documentation that you would need for the food and grocery gourmet food category. That could potentially be a problem.
Cool. So let's go break it down here. Violation of Amazon Marketplace fair pricing policy. You just sighed there, so I'll take it. It's the one that you enjoy.
Well, so this one was really big last year when COVID broke out. It's also basically, so violation of Amazon Marketplace fair pricing policy is just a fancy word for essentially price gouging. Yeah. And so I know that there's a lot of legislation and research being done on price gouging in the e-commerce space. But with Amazon, what I always recommend, if you're selling other brands' products, that you never list those products. I recommend that you look at the price history of that product and that you never list it over 30% of what the 90-day buy box price has been. If the buy box has been suppressed, you really want to look at, okay, what is the sale price been, the FBA, if you're doing FBA. And then also, I just recommend that you really make sure that you understand that, you're responsible for setting your own prices and that you do set a min and max. And that you do use something that is going to help you stay within that min and max, such as Amazon's automated repricer or a paid repricer.
Cool. Well, let's keep rolling down. Go on.
Well, so on I want to say on the violation of the fair pricing policy, that, there are a lot of sellers right now that have these claims on their account. And it's not that they've been price gouging. Sometimes it's just Amazon's algorithm. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
Cool.
So the customer service performance, is that what you want me to?
Yeah, let's kick in there.
Yeah, so customer service performance is going to be a section of your account that's going to tell you things such as your ODR, which is your order defect rate. So it's going to tell you if you have any negative feedback. It's going to tell you if you have any A to Z claims, and it's also going to tell you if you have any chargeback claims. And so one thing with the A to Z claims that I do recommend is that you always buy your shipping within Seller Central or Seller Central API, because if you don't, then you won't be covered for these A to Z claims.
Gotcha, yeah. And obviously the way it's calculated is negative feedback, A to Z, and chargeback, yeah?
Yes. Those three factors, and it will refresh every 60 days. It's a rolling 60 days. So sellers will say, how do I increase my ODR? You just keep selling. Yeah,
indeed. Shipping performance. This is a tough one at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, shipping performance is going to have to do with when you're merchant fulfilling items. So you'll have a late shipping. It's 3 items that are going to be part of this score. So it's going to be your late shipping rate, it's going to be your pre-fulfillment cancel rate, and it's going to be your valid tracking rate. Now, your late shipping rate, when you have shipments that you're merchant fulfilling within Seller Central, it'll tell you the date that you have to ship that item by. So what that means is that you have to have printed the label and had it scanned by the carrier by that date. Again, I recommend always getting your shipping within Amazon Seller Central API, because otherwise it will affect this shipping performance. The pre-fulfillment cancel rate is going to be when you go into your orders and you start canceling them, and this is merchant fulfilled. So again, if you get a message from a customer that wants to cancel their merchant fulfilled order, you need to be asking that customer to do that on their end, because if you do it on your end, you can show Amazon, hey, I have these screenshots of this communication with the customer, but sometimes they will not honor that, and it'll still count against you. So you need to really not just go in and start canceling all these orders if you don't have to.
Cool. Sharon, co-host here. Tiffany Hepburn, dang, I want to have you on the show. Danny bet me, or I think she meant beat me to it. We'll have to find another subject to speak about so I can interview and pick your amazing brain.
Thank you. I love Sharon.
Okay, number 5 here. Are we still on this?
Well, hold on. So we did valid tracking rate.
Yeah, we've done
So
pre-fulfillment. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so valid tracking rate is going to be, and this is why it's really important to buy your shipping within Amazon Seller Central API, because if you don't, let's say a lot of people use ShipStation or they'll use something called Pirate Ship because they think that they're going to get cheaper rates, and sometimes they do. But if you buy your shipping there and you're shipping these items merchant fulfilled, then Amazon can't, there's a disconnect there, even if you put in your tracking numbers. And so they won't be able to see that you have the valid tracking of the product.
Yeah.
You really want to make sure you're buying your merchant fulfilled shipping within Seller Central.
Cool. And product compliance requests?
Yeah, so this is a really cool section that a lot of sellers don't know about. It's going to be on the bottom right-hand section. And so what this is going to tell you is actually certain ASINs that need to have certain documents because they're not in compliance, such as right now with supplements. A lot of supplements are going to, and a lot of toys right now are going to need either CPCs or CPSC testing. And so basically, this is a really quick way to go in and see. There's not probably going to cover all of your products, your ASINs, but it's a really quick way to go in and see what products are going to need some documentation to be in compliance.
Cool. I think that pretty much covered the list. I just need to, I'm just sending, where are we? Sorry, because I was going to do voice of the customer, but I've now got to log back into the account. So while I'm logging back in, do you want to tell people what you've been up to recently on the other side as well? Because you're not just doing, are you doing suspensions as well? Like full on, you deal with those, yeah?
Yeah, we deal a lot with suspensions, and another thing that's similar to a suspension is this 72-hour notice of deactivation warning. So what that is, and I wish that every seller would get this rather than just getting suspended immediately, but that is when you're going to see a pop-up that says, at risk of deactivation. You're going to see it in your performance notification. You may get an email, and it's going to say that if you don't do XYZ within 72 hours, Amazon can suspend your account. So we had one over the weekend where someone was asking, is this really going to happen? And I will say, yes, you need to be proactive and you need to just say it is going to happen because in my experience, which is over 500 cases that I've helped sellers with, Amazon will suspend your account if you don't start getting the documentation in that they're asking for.
Yeah.
And what that usually is with these 72-hour notifications is that these sellers, a lot of times when I look at their cases and their accounts, it's like they've let all of these claims pile up because they just didn't think about it or they forgot. And then now Amazon is all caught up with them.
Yeah, indeed. So I'll just quickly go over here. So voice of the customer is really good ones. Well, you've got very poor, fair, good, and excellent. And this is something I think you should log into on a daily basis. It will break it down in the interface. It's this beautiful interface here. Now it breaks it all down. So obviously on a ASIN level, and you go in and you get an action where it says see details. So within that is when you scroll down, you actually get a recent customer description. Because I think what people look for and they go, yeah, it's fair, it's blah, blah, blah. But they don't really go in and dig deep to find out what the problem is to go in and resolve that. And I think a lot of people get unstuck, especially like if you've got a larger account and you've got lots of SKUs, this can start to really rack up in terms of the impact on your account overall. So you've got the NCX rate, which is the negative customer experience rate, which is the number of orders of which the customer reported as a product or a listing related issues divided by the total orders. I mean, give you an example: high risk, suppression risk, action required. Your negative customer experience, which is the NCX rate, is considerably higher than comparable listings and may be suppressed soon. Review for your customer feedback below in action to improve this product listing. So you're in a high risk of suppression, but these can, as I said, these can start to rack up if you're not careful. Obviously, you haven't got to worry about excellent and good, but you should be looking at your poor, your fair, and very poor on a regular basis as well, and always keep an eye on what's going on in your rates. And one of the key things here is obviously monitoring by total orders because of the velocity of the orders that you're getting through and how you start to rack up on these rates. The other one I like to go over, which is in the interface as well, which is orders with defects over time. So you've got a timeline running across the screen, so you can run from, you know, month by month, and you're able to just hover over them, and you can see 24th of August to the 30th of August, customer service performance, negative feedback 0, A to Z guarantee claim 0, chargeback 0, delivery performance, pre-fulfillment cancellations, late shipments in that period on this larger account is only had 4. But again, this is something where you need to be under the hood, concentrating all the time, because I think people just overlook it. And then they start raising tickets, and they're going like, what's the problem? But go in there, diagnose what the issues are in there. I know it's not, as you said at the beginning, it's not a sexy subject, but it's so key to nail most of these components. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, yeah, you know, a lot of sellers, like I said, they're focused on making sales because that's the sexy part. But, you know, in order to keep making sales, you need to be checking these issues in your account.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, there are a few other areas in there, you know, but really this, you know, what we've covered is going to be the key areas where people really need to dial in on an 80-20 rule to focus on getting those sorted. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Yeah, I would just say keep an eye on these things, you know, make yourself a checklist, and you can kind of go through and have this stuff kind of in line. And that way you're not like hit with the suspension, not saying that you won't be, but you'll be at lower risk. So yeah, thanks so much, Danny, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You're more than welcome. What is the best way for people to reach you?
Yeah, so the best way is if you have an account health issue, it's account health at eatsleepamazon.com. And if it's a non-account health issue, then you can email us support at eatsleepamazon.com. You can follow me on Instagram at eatsleepamazon, but sometimes the DMs do get pretty full. But I'll post in my stories like the email addresses. Yeah, and you can always check out like what we're offering on our website, which is eatsleepamazon.com.
Sounds good. Guys, also, we're hiring at Data Brew. I did mention this last week on the show. There is a finder's fee. We're paying $1,500 for an introduction that goes on to be employed. If you want more details on that, contact me, danny@databrew.com. Tiff, thanks for coming in. Tomorrow, we're going to be discussing Prime Day. Leran Hirschkorn will be returning. And don't forget, Sharon will be here on Thursday. All right, guys, see you soon. Much love. Take care of your family, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.